Understanding your emotions. And again, this links in quite a lot with some of the discussion we had last week about discomfort and the feelings of discomfort you might have during your time off. And part of that is because you begin to feel a whole range of emotions that you may have always drunk through before. And if there's any consolation, I find 4 years on that this is still a really big issue for me because I have to deal with the emotions. I can't just push them into another box, procrastinate over them, push them away because I'm having a drink. And you might feel quite a lot of emotions that make you feel uncomfortable. And we all know deep down, because we're not stupid, that alcohol affects those emotions anyway, so they're no good for them. But that doesn't stop you feeling them and them happening during a month off booze. So whilst you may be wanting to lift depression and anxiety as part of one of your goals of taking part of the mob, it doesn't mean that those will automatically go away. You may be feeling depressed and anxious because you're feeling the effects of not having alcohol in your life, that you need to change routine, that you're feeling discomfort because you can't give in to your urges. So part of that is really important.
Yeah, and I think the connection between alcohol and mental health issues like depression and anxiety is a really difficult one, and I think Helen writes really well about it on the mob site that first of all you don't know which came first, and for some people alcohol makes the situation worse, and for some it might actually make it better. So,
and I've just noticed a really bad spelling mistake on that slide, which it says learning new techniques. Oh, it's terrible.
Well, a teachnique could be a new word.
The other thing to say is you don't have to have mental health issues for alcohol to affect your mood. And just to talk a little bit more about this, the alcohol impacts on a whole load of, when you're drinking, a whole load of your brain's neurotransmitters.
Which we're not going to list.
We're not going to list them, but they are things like GABA and endorphins. And one of the great things about alcohol is when you drink it, it hits all of your lovely pleasure centres and it makes you want to drink more because you want to hit those pleasure centres again. You often need more alcohol to get that pleasure centre to hit again. So for those of us who don't have an off switch, which includes me, that constant wanting to hit the pleasure centre, feel great, is wonderful. But it does have the exact opposite effect the following day. So your hangover is in fact in large part an emotional hangover as well, because you spend so much time hitting your lovely pleasure centres that the following day you actually feel very, very depressed, low.
Yeah, like whenever you really bump up your brain chemicals, they have to readjust, and the adjustment's always
so we always think
relative to the hit you've given them. So the more you drink,
so we always think a coming down is a word used within drugs that aren't legal. But it actually is the same here with alcohol. Yeah. Your body's readjusting back after you've basically pressed the joy button loads and loads of times really, really hard.
But I think there's also some artists who say that they do their best work when they have a minor hangover, which I think is probably something to do with the brain being slightly out of balance from what they usually are.
Some say they do better when they drink.
So they do, yeah.
But that's a myth that we can scotch at another point. There's quite a few people written about it. But do have a look at Helen's article on day 11 because we think it's a really...
it's really useful, interesting information.
And there's lots of science in there, and it's really worth getting to grips with understanding that the way that it affects your brain. There isn't a bit of your body that alcohol doesn't affect, but your brain is one of them.